the SNP plan for the EU to run Scotland, and we expose Nicola Sturgeon's hypocrisy. Right, we only have 4 days to go to this election. I know every time we have a general election in this country, people say this is the most important one in a generation, but actually, this one is. And not just because of Brexit, because this is our last chance to actually get it done. If the Remainers get into government, whether it's under a hung parliament, a coalition with Labour or the SNP or Lib Dems, or at worst, a Labour majority, which is unlikely, then they'll definitely cancel Brexit. But also in terms of other parts of the UK, including Scotland, because the SNP and Nicola Sturgeon definitely have plans. And the thing about Nicola Sturgeon as leader is that she's very good. She's very professional. She's good on TV, good public speaker, good debater. But obviously her views and policies are absolutely mental. She was grilled on TV about the SNP's plan, because what they want to do is they want to try their best to cancel Brexit, but if that doesn't happen, they want to leave the United Kingdom. They want to have, obviously, Scottish independence in order for them to then rejoin the European Union. Now, the other day, Sturgeon was on This Morning, and she was interviewed by Eamon Holmes on her plans for Brussels to essentially run Scotland. And Holmes actually said, you'd be happy to have Brussels run Scotland, and this is Nicola Sturgeon's reaction.
But the hurt, I think, for a lot of people is you say Westminster should have no control in running Scotland, yet you'd be happy for Brussels to run Scotland.
Well, no, I wouldn't be happy for Brussels to run Scotland, but that argument on the face of it, I think, is quite a reasonable one. But when you sort of get under the surface of that, it quickly becomes less so. Every single member country of the European Union is an independent country. France and Germany, Spain and Portugal. The fact that they're in the European Union doesn't take away their independence. They just come together to collaborate and cooperate on the issues that countries have to collaborate.
I mean, that's problem number one, because her issue with Westminster and the UK Parliament is that it's too centralised. She wants the Scottish Parliament to have more say, apparently. And obviously we have devolved a lot of powers to Scotland over the last few years, and I think we could do more. I'm always pro devolution, not just for Scotland, for everywhere, for Cornwall, for Birmingham, Manchester, London, and we could do more. But the issue is she wants to leave the UK to then rejoin the European Union, to have Brussels, which is even more centralised. And she thinks she can keep pound sterling, but actually one of the requirements to join the EU these days is actually to adopt the euro. And she wants to have no borders between England and Scotland. Again, you can't do that because the UK won't be a member of the EU, and you can't just not have any borders. It doesn't work that way. And actually, on the point of the border and any sort of backstop, she has a problem with the Northern Ireland and the Northern Irish arrangements, because apparently it's unfair that the Northern Ireland, the economy is going to be doing better and benefit from it.
If backstop comes about, it looks, thankfully, economically, if not politically, because there are political implications, that Northern Ireland could be the place to invest. If you would have access to the European markets, you could have access to the UK markets without tariffs. And if you were a British company, if you were a European company, Northern Ireland looks a very good place to be. Yeah. Now, whilst that is fantastic news for my home country, not so good for Scotland. Could you explain why?
Well, I should say, first of all, I don't grudge Northern Ireland any of that. And I think it's really important in this whole Brexit process that peace in Ireland is not compromised and it has been treated with a lot of neglect.
Which is the other side of the coin.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yes, as the First Minister of Scotland, obviously I'm interested in investment into Scotland. When I talk, as I do regularly, to companies that might be thinking of investing in Scotland or looking to expand in Scotland, often there are competitor cities to Glasgow and Edinburgh, and sometimes that will be Belfast. And if in the future we have a situation where Northern Ireland is still effectively in the European single market and the customs union, then it's going to be much harder, not just for Scotland, but for a lot of cities in England and Wales to compete on that basis. And
you see, that makes absolutely no sense, because whether you have some sort of customs arrangements between Northern Ireland and the Republic, or a trade deal between the UK and the EU, Scotland won't be damaged. It doesn't work that way. So this is all politics of envy coming from the SNP, who are socialists, obviously. But for those that are considering voting for this party, you are going to be getting the EU bosses running your life. And in case you don't know who these people are, this is what the European Union looks like.
The European Union and Britain is one thing. The United Kingdom belongs to the European Union.
I've been wondering what that special place in hell looks like for those who promoted Brexit.
Slowly but surely, English is losing importance.
Britain without the European Union is in fact a dwarf.
Yes, these are the people that the SNP support. These are the people that Nicola Sturgeon want to run her country. But in reality, what's going to be happening is that she's going into this campaign with the mentality of, we want to empower the Scottish Parliament, but obviously if Scotland somehow gets independent and rejoins the EU, the Scottish Parliament will be irrelevant. And secondly, she actually doesn't care about the Scottish Parliament because she constantly ignored the votes that comes from that place. And for example, back in 2017, a number of issues were raised in the Scottish Parliament and she completely ignored them. Back in 2017, there was a ban on fracking in the Scottish Parliament and Nicola Sturgeon ignored it, but then obviously with all the pressure that was happening, they finally had to make a U-turn and now there is a ban. The same year, there was a vote for ministers to review hospital maternity ward and the A&E department closures. Nicola Sturgeon ignored it. There was a vote to save the Highlands and Islands enterprise. Again, the SNP government ignored it. There was also another vote to save the Scottish Funding Council from separate mergers. Again, the SNP government ignored it. And this shows how much the SNP care about the Scottish Parliament. They are now getting scrutinised by the media. And this is exactly why the SNP representatives, apart from Nicola Sturgeon, are now all running away from interviewers. Ian Dale was supposed to be interviewing Ian Blackford, and who's the spokesperson in Westminster Parliament, and he's hiding from the LBC team. Ian Dale tweeted, "Several weeks ago we arranged a 20-minute interview with Ian Blackford for 10 a.m. today. At 9:45 p.m. last night we were told that he couldn't do 10 a.m. so we moved our rundown to put him in at 10:30. His people now say that he can't do that. We're fed up with being messed around. We've now dumped him." And yeah, it doesn't look good. I've always criticised politicians who try to avoid media interviews, including Boris Johnson with Andrew Neil. It's just bad taste. It's best not to do that. But we have to be fair. We have to be able to criticise politicians when they do this, whether they're right wing or left wing or centre. But this election is very important, and it's not just about what's happening in Scotland with the SNP. Even though they're still leading in the polls, the Conservatives are actually coming up in Scotland again. So we'll see how that goes. But for the rest of the country, the biggest danger and fear is a Jeremy Corbyn government. Boris Johnson was actually in North London, in Finchley, where there's a massive Jewish community, and they were absolutely scared and terrified about the possibility of having a Labour government. There's this video that Boris went to Finchley, went to a bakery and spoke to a number of Jewish people, and it's very interesting. It's a very powerful video. So let's watch this.
Nice to see you. We love you. Thank you very much. Nice to see you. Well done. Well done. Nice to see you. Support you all the way. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
Morning. My son turned 18 today. He'll be voting for you.
Boris, I back you. Boris, get Brexit done. We are. Come on, we're almost there. That's got it. Get Brexit done. Fantastic. I'm not here. Here we go. There you go. Get Brexit done. There you go. Get Brexit done. Done. Unfortunately, I managed to glue my shirt to my arm with the icing. Here we go.
Boris, let's get Brexit done. Let's do it. Thank you.
There you go, sir. One last one. Here we go.
On your right.
Well done, Boris. Well done, everybody. Time for jam donut, please.
Can I also have the small one?
Yeah, the large.
Which one's that? Thank you. Here we go. Jam donut. Come on. This got jam. Are you sure it's got jam?
Yes, don't worry about it.
Happy Hanukkah to everyone.
How much is this in euros?
I have no idea. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You have to save us from that guy.
No, we are. We're going to do that. Otherwise, we're all leaving the country. Don't do that. Don't do that. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to need your support. We need your support.
You've got it.
I feel we're going to get all your friends to come out of it. Yeah, Brexit. Is that the one I did? That's not the one I did. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, and we only have 4 days to save this country from Jeremy Corbyn and his Marxist friends. On a separate note, we are now at 94,000 subscribers on this channel, so thank you so much for supporting us, and let's try and get to 100,000 by election. So if you have any friends or anyone, make sure you share this video, share this channel, get them to subscribe, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you click on that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified. And if you're not following me on social media yet, on Twitter and Instagram, you could find the details on the screen down here. As always, I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.